Before the drum machines took over, before hip-hop rewrote the rules, before everything that came after, there was 1979. It was the last year that pure soul ruled the world without a fight, and the artists who owned that year poured everything they had into records that still stop you cold the moment they hit. But behind every song on this list is a story most people have never heard. Stories of heartbreak, desperation, and songs that were nearly buried, rejected, or given away to someone else. I'm your host. This is Rhythm and Legacy. Today, we're counting down the 10 soul hits from 1979 that changed music forever, and the secrets that almost never made it out. Number 10. Bad Girls, Donna Summer, 1979. She was already the queen of disco. By 1979, Donna Summer had charted more number ones than almost any woman alive. She did not need another hit. But Bad Girls wasn't born from ambition. It was born from anger. Summer's secretary, a young black woman named Nellie Prestwood, had been sent on a routine errand down Sunset Boulevard. When she came back, she was shaken. The lapter had stopped her, accused her of soliciting, and humiliated her on the street in broad daylight. Donna Summer was furious. And then she went into the studio and started writing. She ad-libbed lyrics on the spot, channeling empathy and defiance into something that sounded, on the surface, like pure celebration. The iconic toot toot and beep beep hooks came after a studio engineer stumbled on a demo that had been sitting forgotten in a drawer for 2 years. Bad Girls spent 5 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the summer of 1979. It sold over 2 million copies. The woman they tried to reduce to a one-note disco queen used a story about injustice to write the biggest record of her career. Number 9. Got to Be Real, Cheryl Lynn, 1979. She walked onto The Gong Show, a television program best known for bad acts and louder buzzers, and sang the only secular song she knew. She brought the house down. The judges didn't gong her, they signed her. Cheryl Lynn had grown up singing in a Los Angeles church choir. When Columbia Records came calling after that single televised moment, they paired her with a producer named David Foster, a man who had never won a Grammy in his life, and a guitarist named Ray Parker Jr., who laid down his part Live in the Room with her. Got to Be Real was born in a single recording session. Cheryl ad-libbed lyrics straight from her real beliefs about love, while Foster ran piano riffs, and nobody in the room quite knew what they were making. Radio was slow. Who takes a game show contestant seriously? The clubs were not slow. Dance floors locked onto that groove immediately. By the end of 1978, Got to Be Real had climbed to number 1 on the Billboard R&B chart. Her very first single, her very first time in a professional studio. It was nominated for a Grammy for Best R&B Performance. The woman they almost dismissed became a dance music icon overnight. Number 8. Memory Lane, Minnie Riperton, 1979. By the time Minnie Riperton walked into the A&M studios in Hollywood to record what would become Memory Lane, she already knew she was dying. The cancer diagnosed 3 years earlier had spread. Doctors had given her 6 months. She had already outlived that prognosis by 2.5 years, and she was still singing. Riperton had one of the most extraordinary voices in the history of recorded music. A 4-octave coloratura soprano that Stevie Wonder once described as the voice of a perfect angel. Memory Lane was written with her husband, Richard Rudolph. On the surface, it sounds like a song about the end of a love affair. But listen closely. Midway through, the lyric shifts from heartbreak into something raw, something desperate. She was not singing about a relationship. She was singing about her life. The album Minnie was released in May 1979. Minnie Riperton died on July 12, 1979, at age 31, in the arms of her husband, as Stevie Wonder's voice played on a tape recorder nearby, recorded specifically for her final hours. Her daughter is actress and comedian Maya Rudolph. Memory Lane was still on the chart when she was gone.
I see the happiness, I see the...
Number 7. Cruisin', Smokey Robinson, 1979. Before 1979, Smokey Robinson had released 8 solo studio albums and more than 20 singles, and had not placed a single record in the Billboard Top 20, not one. His own label had essentially written him off. His guitarist, Marv Tarplin, had handed him a cassette tape in the mid-1970s, 5 years before Cruisin' was released, containing the music that would become the backbone of the song. Robinson fell in love with it immediately, but he could not find the words to match it. He wrote 2 full songs to that music, then 3. None of them worked. Then one night, driving down Sunset Boulevard, a 1967 hit by the Rascals came on the radio. The Rascals had sung about grooving. Smokey wanted something that rhymed with that feeling. The word cruising unlocked the entire song in minutes. He had a cold during the actual recording session. The song was originally planned as a B-side for a Temptations remake. When Cruisin' was released in August 1979, it climbed all the way to number 4 on the Hot 100. Smokey Robinson's first ever solo top 10 at the age of 39. Number 6. We Are Family, Sister Sledge, 1979.
Number 21 in the charts, it's Sister Sledge.
Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards had never met Sister Sledge when they wrote We Are Family for them. Not once. They wrote the entire song, lyrics, melody, arrangement, based on a single conversation with Atlantic Records president Jerry Greenberg, who described the 4 sisters to them in broad strokes over one afternoon. Atlantic Records initially declined to release the song as a single. They did not hear it as a hit. It was pushed through anyway, found its footing in clubs, then on radio, and on June 16, 1979, it hit number 1 on the Billboard R&B chart. Lead singer Kathy Sledge recorded her entire vocal in one take. Rodgers and Edwards were so struck by her natural, open performance that they loosened the tight production control that defined their own recordings. We Are Family has since been inducted into the United States National Recording Registry by the Library of Congress. It has been used at the Olympics, at World Cup celebrations, at funerals, at weddings, at family reunions on every continent on Earth, all from a conversation in a record executive's office with 4 women those producers had never laid eyes on.
We are family.
Number 5. Reunited, Peaches and Herb, 1979. Herb Fame had quit the music industry entirely. He had walked away from the charts, away from the studios, away from the name that had briefly made him famous, and gone to work as a police officer in Washington, D.C. He spent 6 years on the force. When music pulled him back, the original Peaches was gone. His label connected him with a Washington, D.C. native named Linda Green, a former model with a voice that could break your heart on contact. They recorded an album together. It went nowhere. Then they called in Freddie Perrin, the same man who had just written I Will Survive for Gloria Gaynor, and everything changed. Perrin knew they had something special the moment Linda Green heard the demo for the first time and immediately began to cry. Reunited spent 4 weeks at number 1 on both the Billboard Hot 100 and the R&B chart simultaneously. It sold over 2 million copies and was nominated for Song of the Year at the 1980 Grammys. The man who had been a DC cop 6 years earlier had his name on one of the biggest songs of the entire decade. If a song that almost got buried can go on to survive for nearly 50 years, the least we can do is make sure this story doesn't get buried either. If you're enjoying this countdown, hit like, Subscribe to Rhythm and Legacy and tap that bell so you never miss the next one of these. It genuinely helps this channel keep digging up stories like these. Now, back to the countdown. Way to number 1, and the stories only get bigger from here. Number 4, I Will Survive, Gloria Gaynor, 1979. The president of Gloria Gaynor's record company made one of the most catastrophic decisions in music history. The song had been recorded. The producers, Freddie Perrin and Dino Ficaris, knew immediately that I Will Survive was the superior track. Everyone in the studio knew it, and the label president ordered it buried on the B-side. Gaynor had spent 6 months in the hospital with a serious back injury shortly before recording the song. She recorded it on a surgically repaired spine, in genuine pain. The defiance in her voice was not an act. I Will Survive was placed behind a cover song that peaked at number 107 and disappeared without a trace. Then the DJs got hold of the B-side. Studio 54's DJ Richie Kazor flipped the record and started playing I Will Survive on repeat. Club after club picked it up. Radio followed. Polydor finally released it as the A-side. It went to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in March 1979 and sold more than 15 million copies worldwide. At the 1980 Grammy Awards, it won Best Disco Recording, the first and only time that category was ever awarded. The B-side, a record executive tried to hide, became one of the most celebrated recordings in human history. Number 3, After the Love Has Gone, Earth, Wind and Fire, 1979. The chorus of After the Love Has Gone was not written on purpose. David Foster was sitting in a Motown executive's office halfway through pitching an entirely different project when the conversation shifted. Foster sat down at the piano with nothing prepared, and out of sheer panic, the chorus poured out of him, note for note, exactly as it would appear on the record. He called his co-writer Jay Graydon that same day, and they wrote the verse together in under an hour. Foster had initially planned to record the song for a different artist's album. Then he played it for Maurice White of Earth, Wind and Fire, who fell in love with it on the spot. Foster had to go back and deliver the news. The greatest R&B group in the world wanted the song. Released in July 1979, After the Love Has Gone reached number 2 on the Hot 100 and won 2 Grammy Awards. It was David Foster's first Grammy win. He would go on to win 15 more, all starting with a chorus he improvised in a meeting he hadn't prepared for. Number 2, Good Times, Chic, 1979. Bernard Edwards was late. The band was already in the studio. The track was being laid down, and the bass player had not arrived yet. When Edwards finally walked in and strapped on his instrument, Nile Rodgers yelled at him to just walk the bass line. No preparation, no rehearsal, just feel it. What Edwards played in that unrehearsed moment became one of the most important bass lines ever recorded. The lyrics Rodgers wrote were a direct commentary on the American economy of the late 1970s. The country was in deep recession and unemployment was rising, and Rodgers chose to respond to that darkness with pure celebration. Good Times hit number 1 on the Hot 100 on August 18, 1979. A few weeks later, a group called the Sugar Hill Gang released a record built almost entirely on Edwards' bass line. Rapper's Delight became the first hip-hop song to receive mainstream radio play. The bass line Edwards played while he was still walking through the door became the foundation of an entirely new genre of music, and has since been sampled in over 200 songs. Number 1, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Michael Jackson, 1979. He had been recording since he was 9 years old. He had been a professional performer for more than a decade. He had charted, toured, and appeared on television more times than most adults could count. And by 1979, Michael Jackson had never once controlled his own creative direction in a professional studio. Not once. Everything changed when he met Quincy Jones on the set of The Wiz in 1978. When the melody of Don't Stop Till You Get Enough came to him, he could not shake it. He wandered through his family's Encino home, humming it for days. It was the first solo song he had ever written entirely by himself. He recorded it in falsetto, playing with the vocal hiccups and breath catches that would become his signature. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough was released on July 10, 1979, and went to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It won Michael Jackson his first solo Grammy Award. Off the Wall, the album it came from, is widely considered one of the greatest records ever made, and Thriller would not exist without what happened first on this song. 1 year, 10 songs, 10 stories that almost didn't happen. These songs changed music, and most people have never heard what it took to make them. If this video moved you, share it with someone who loves soul music. Subscribe to Rhythm and Legacy, and we'll see you in the next one.